here it's so free, I guess, in the sense that like people do whatever they want. There are things that people do here that like in the US would not fly.
This is Basil. He's an American who came to Serbia 2.5 years ago. Back in the US he converted to Orthodox Christianity, and in Serbia he is about to begin studying at the Faculty of Orthodox Theology at the University of Belgrade to become a priest. He shared how he found true freedom in Serbia, how he managed to combine Orthodoxy with his love for techno, and what is the main difference between Serbs and Westerners. Enjoy! So, you came to Serbia. What were your shocks in the country when you first came here?
In the US, from the moment you can talk or read or listen, whatever, America is the land of the free. You know, you're free, freedom, liberty, freedom. And I think here, it's so free, I guess, in the sense that like people do whatever they want. Like there are things that people do here that like in the US would not fly. For example, like, I don't know, in the US, I could get fined for walking down the street with an open beer in my hand. Like, that's illegal. But here, like, nobody cares. Maybe not walking down the street, but like, I've gone with friends to like Kalemegdan and sat on the wall, have a beer and watch the sunset. You can get in trouble for doing that in the US. You need like the brown paper bag, you know, you see in movies, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But like, not even just that. It's like, I remember... Like this was one of these moments that I was like, okay, I love this place. And it was the first time after I had left Serbia when I moved here. So I'd been here like 3 or 4 months and I went outside of the country for the first time since I'd been here to travel to Portugal. And I was just, you know, went for like a few days and then I came back and I was taking the shuttle back from the airport here to like Slavia. And I remember there was really bad traffic. So the shuttle bus driver just drove the bus up over the sidewalk, like behind the tram, and then just like passed all of the traffic driving behind the like tram on the tracks. Oh. And I thought like this would never happen in the US. And I was like, I love this place. Like, it's just, there's a problem. Okay. There's an obvious solution. I just thought, I was like, that just blew my mind. I still think about that moment. I was just like, okay, this place is like, it's great.
But, you know, this freedom has its flip side. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about it, and for people who are accustomed to rules and to, you know, to the situation when the rules are working, you know, the rules are in place.
Yeah.
Here, it could be a bit difficult.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely things that, like, are not as convenient or smooth or easy. Like bureaucracy here is a nightmare. Like I remember the first time I ever had to go to the Uprava za strance to like get visa paperwork, stuff like that. Bureaucracy here is crazy. And other things like the buses, like, and now it's funny because I have a friend here who's from Germany and he would always, I never understood why, but he would always be like, Belgrade has the best public transportation in the world. And I said, like, sometimes it's 50-50 if the bus even shows up. Yeah. Like, but then I went to visit a friend in Germany and I went on the German trains and now I understand why people love the Belgrade.
Yeah, in comparison with Germany,
oh my
yes,
gosh. Yeah.
Yes, so, totally. What about food? It was a shock?
I don't know, it's very different food, but it's delicious. Like, I love Serbian food so much. And I think, like, I was with a friend the other day, and he's not from Serbia, and we were trying to figure out what to have for dinner. And I was like, oh, you know, we can go get roštilj. Like, I'm sure there's somewhere nearby. And he said, he's like, I'm sick of roštilj. I'm like, how is that possible? Like, this is amazing. So yeah, no, Serbian food is great. I think I was surprised at how simple it is. Like, I think, you know, it's a lot of just grilled meat, cabbage, and potatoes or something, but it's good quality, especially compared to American food. Like, I think US foods, a lot of it is so processed and very fake. There is a place in my heart for that. Like, when I come back from the US, I always bring a box of like Kraft macaroni and cheese with me because I want to taste the plastic. No, I mean, the food is really, really good, especially the culture around the food. Like, it's so Like I was at a friend's like birthday party earlier this week, and there was like picanha. So we had lamb and pork. You know, you have big plates. Everybody just takes what they want. Like, you know, we call it like family style in the U.S., but you know, just eating communally. And I think in the U.S., and I've thought about this before with other foods, but the picanha is the same idea, is it seems to me that like a culture doesn't get really good at cooking a huge portion of something unless they're always eating it with a big group of people. And I think in the US, we don't have anything like that. Like there's very few, except for maybe some parts of like the southern US with American barbecue. Like there's not this culture of let's develop a way of cooking a whole animal all at once. Or like I remember thinking that in Greece with gyros, like who develops this way of making a giant thing unless you're like feeding a ton of people?
Yeah.
And so I think even the way the food is prepared like shows that it developed in a community of people who are eating together and celebrating things together and, you know, whatever. So I think that's really, really cool. But I think Serbs need to increase their tolerance for spicy food. I like spicy food and there's not a lot of it here. So sometimes I want to get my fix, you know, so I have to go find some Indian food or something that can like give me that.
So roštilj, picanha, it's your favorite choices?
I mean, those are really good, but also like the dishes like sarma or like punjena paprika, like those are delicious as well. It seems to me that people give pasulj a lot of hate, but I really like it. So I don't know, like that's one of the things I make for myself at home all the time. Like, especially when I want something that's postno, making beans is great. So I don't understand the hate for them. But yeah, I mean, there's not any Serbian food I've tried that I don't like. So it's all good. I mean, the one thing I'm interested to try is, what's it called? Pljeskavica žive. Like the raw pljeskavica, like kind of like tartar, I guess. I think it's from like Valjevo, like somewhere in the southwest is where they make it.
So it's pljeskavica,
but it's raw. I haven't tried it. I really want to.
Sounds horrible for me.
No, I tried something like that because I like beef tartar or whatever. But I tried. There's a similar thing in that I had in Lebanon called kibenaye, which is like the same idea. It's like raw meat with spices. And I learned, I don't know, like 6 months ago or something, that's a thing here. And ever since then, I've wanted to try it, but I haven't like seen it anywhere here in Belgrade. And I was told it's best in like Valjevo area. So I gotta go.
Have you ever checked, do you have any ancestors from Serbia? Because you look like Serb.
As far as I know, no. Like, I mean, but I understand, I get that a lot. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize I'm not a Serb until I open my mouth. That's been true pretty much anywhere I've gone. Like in the Balkans, people have assumed I'm from there. Like even when I went to Lebanon, people assumed I was Lebanese, which that was surprising to me. I don't know, my friends joke I have ethnic camouflage. Like I blend in wherever I am. But no, my dad, he was Maori from New Zealand. And then my mom is American, I think ethnically, because she was adopted. So her biologically, for some reason, my whole life, I've thought, or we've had this idea that she's like Finnish, but I have no idea for sure. Like, I think that's just in my head from somewhere. But yeah, no, no Serbian ancestry at all. And especially people like, when they find out that I'm Orthodox as well, they're always like, you must be Serb. I'm like, nope. Like, in the US, I'm very, very far above average height. And here, I'm still above average, but like it's normal for me to see people as tall as me. And so that was a funny thing when I first came, because that was one thing I did know, is that people here were tall. And I remember my first weekend, I went into a bar somewhere and I counted 5 people that were taller than me. Before then, in my life, the number of times that had happened was like twice. And it was because I was in the room with like a basketball team or something. So I feel a little more normal, maybe.
What is your favorite part of Belgrade?
Dorćol is a nice area. It's nice to walk around, all the cafes and the bars and things, and people are there. And then Knez Mihailova's right there as well, which is really nice. I'm happy living. So this is Senjak, technically, I think, and I like this neighborhood. It's really nice. But as far as stuff to do, and there's not the people out, because, we don't have cafes back here. It's just houses and apartments. But this is a good area because it's close to everything else too in some sense. Like in the summer I can get to Ada really quickly, which is always nice. It's close to the waterfront as well. I like being along the river. I don't like the waterfront development itself. It feels like Miami. I'm there, I'm like, this doesn't feel like Serbia.
That was the purpose actually of this project, to feel like Miami.
Yeah, well, they succeeded. I don't know that that's a good thing, but like, if that was the point, you know, they did a good job of it, I guess. It doesn't feel like Serbia down there. It feels like something else. I don't know. Like, I do like this neighborhood because you get back here and it's just houses and trees and cats, and you feel like you're not in the city for a little bit, you know?
Senjak and Didinia are very posh residential areas.
It's funny because like my street doesn't feel that posh, but then like I'll walk 2 blocks over and see some of the houses that are here. I'm like, okay, this is a posh area, you know?
So you converted to Orthodox Church.
Yep.
How did you get this idea?
So I like grew up in like an American Protestant family. And then when I was in college, I discovered, or I heard of Orthodox Christianity because it was mentioned in one of my classes. Arabs, we were talking about the Middle East and like Orthodox Christianity there. And something about it just piqued my curiosity. Like there was just something about it that was like, okay, this is interesting. Like, I want to know more. And I think at first it was just curiosity because it was something that I'd never seen before or heard of before. And so, like I had a vague idea that like Orthodoxy existed because I knew in my head Russia was some other kind of Christian that like I didn't know anything about. So I was reading, and then something about it was just like really different and beautiful to me, I think. And so I tried to, like I went online to find like where the nearest like Orthodox church to where I was living in the US. And it was a church with Arabs. It was a Syrian church. And so I went to like my first service there, my first liturgia, and it was in Arabic mostly with some English. And I just remember like it was something very, very beautiful and profound and powerful that touched me very deeply. And it was just this like, I just knew at that moment. I was like, okay, whatever this is, I want in. So I kept going there, and I learned to like chant, like to sing the church songs in Arabic and in English. And after about 1.5 years, I was baptized. And then that's also partly what piqued my interest in Serbia as a country to pick of all the countries outside of the US, is because I knew it was an Orthodox country, and I was curious about what that would be like to live here, because I had done a little bit of study in Greece in university. And so I got a kind of taste of that, of seeing like, oh, there's churches everywhere, and like everybody thinks they have the same like religious foundation, and they see the world in a similar way that I have learned to see the world. And so that was also part of what drew me here, and it has not disappointed at all.
How did your relatives and friends react to your conversion?
Mixed. It was a mixed bag. There were 1 or 2 people who I know who like basically stopped talking to me because they saw me as having like become something other than Christian. The rest of my family, it was more like they were kind of like, okay, that's your thing, but like they didn't really express much thought about it. Like, oh, okay, you're doing your thing or whatever. And then my mom is now Orthodox as well. So she became Orthodox after I did. Because I think she was curious about what I was doing, because she knew that I had started going to like this new church. And she told me later on that she thought that at first that I was joining a cult. She was like, oh, this is something weird, like whatever. So she wanted to know about what I was learning and what I was doing and becoming. I think a lot of out of curiosity or even worry at first. And then it just, like, as I was learning things, she was just one of the people that I talked to the most. And so I would tell her about stuff. And then she got curious and she started asking a lot of the same questions I was. After not long, she started going to it's funny, for years, we didn't know it, but there was an Orthodox church like 5 minutes down the road from her house. So she started going there, and she's been there since. So she came after me. But I think it was never my intention to like convince her or bring her with me. It was just like I was being, I think, affected positively by what I was learning and what I was experiencing. And so I just wanted to share that because she's my mom. And it had the same effect on her as well. And I think she said one of the things that convinced her that it wasn't a cult is because she said she could see the way that it changed me.
How did it change you?
I used to be an asshole. This was when I was a Protestant Christian. And I think it was just the way that system of thinking affected me and the way I perceived the world. I wouldn't have known how to describe this at the time, or I wouldn't have been aware of this, but I was really angry, I think, at the world about a lot of things, and things that I saw as problems, but I was mad about it instead of feeling compassion. I was really judgmental, and I still try not to, but I used to just anytime I saw people doing stuff, I always was thinking, okay, this is good, this is bad, this is good, I wouldn't do that, or I would do this, or it was exhausting. And I think that was one of the first things that changed, is I was I can't sustain thinking like this. If I'm constantly just worried about what are other people doing, what do I think of it, but I need to deal with me first, So that was something that I felt that change in myself, and my mom apparently saw it too. So I think that was I think it's just my approach towards other people changed. I think I'm far more aware of when I fail in caring for my friends and my family and the people around me. And I don't know, I guess I try to hold myself to a different standard than I used to of what it means to treat someone well, I think that played out, and we were talking about community here in Serbia. I think even if people are not, because I know not everyone here regularly goes to church and whatever, but it's kind of baked into the culture in a way that I think it affects the way that people live and behave here toward each other, even if they're not really aware of it, just because it's baked in, but which is cool to see for me, because this is something that I chose. But then to see there are people who are raised and born and raised this way, that's crazy to me.
What's the situation with faith in America? I was wondering, is America a religious country?
My gut reaction is that no, the US is not a very religious country. I think a lot of people, if you asked them, a lot of people would say that they're some kind of Christian or something, but as far as whether that actually impacts the way that they live on a day-to-day basis, no. And I think it's interesting, I know there have been some studies and stuff in the last maybe 10 years. There's a growing number of people in the US who wouldn't identify themselves as any kind of religion. I think now I could be wrong about this, but it's almost half of the country now would identify themselves as nothing, religiously speaking. But it depends where you are in the US too. You go to parts of the South or the Midwest, which we call the Bible Belt. It's everybody there is some kind of Protestant, but then you have other places where, it's a desert, so to speak, of religious activity. And then especially it was interesting too, because when I became Orthodox, I went from being part of the mainstream religious group in the US to being a group that's less than 2% of the Christian population, which is itself only half of the country. So it's it shrunk very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Which was an interesting experience, to say the least.
What about language? Do you learn Serbian language?
Da, učim. Imam prakse svaki dan zato što idem u crkvu i mogu da slušam i učim kako da čitam sve, ali mislim da teško je za mene zato što ljudi ovdje pričaju engleskom. Kad oni znaju da sam iz Amerike i da pričam engleski, on hoće da pričam na engleskom, priča na engleskom za mene, sa mnom, sa mene. Znam kad pričam, moj gramatička nije baš dobar. Mislim je lakše zato što imam, kako se kaže, melody i mogu da zapamtim kako da pevam nešto bolje nego mogu da učim nešto da pričam zato što je muzika.
How does Orthodox faith influences your everyday life now?
I'm in church pretty much every day. Like there's, services in the morning and stuff. Soon it's going to be my whole life because I'm going to start studying at the Bogoslovski Facultet to maybe become a priest one day. Basically, I will be studying part-time this year while also learning Serbian, and then I'll start full-time studies for like the Bogoslovski Fakultet next fall. And soon I've been learning how to sing and learn that. Like I have the Crkveno Slovenskom, like I'm learning how to read it, and it's very difficult.
You mean difficult because they have these very difficult tones?
Yeah, the tones are really difficult, and also I had to learn how to read, I'm still trying to learn how to read Cyrillic well, but learning the Church Slavonic, the writing's even more difficult. So I'm trying to learn that now, and I'm working hard to figure that out. I mean, and just daily life, fast days like Wednesdays and Fridays are postno, and then the longer periods coming up to Christmas and to Easter, and my house is decorated with icons and stuff. I think it's I see the way that it changed the world for me, or at least it changed my understanding of the world, changed me. And so it's when I've worked other jobs, it's kind of, I have this sense of the feeling of importance, or what I'm doing with that job is just it could be doing something more. So now hopefully, I think I've found that, or at least I'm starting to find that. And that's one of the cool things here with Serbia, is I remember my first time, I went into the supermarket and I was looking for what I was going to eat, because I was trying to figure out, okay, well, what is there here that I can make that's vegan? So it's lentils and rice and that kind of thing. And then I remember seeing the plasma box with the thing on it, postno plasma. And I was that's so cool. In the US, that's not a thing. You don't have this labeled because it's good for fasting or whatever. I was okay, that was really cool. But so another thing that shocked me when I came here.
So, were any surprises for you in Serbian Orthodox Church when you came here?
The Slava is a big one. That is something that doesn't, as far as I understand, it's a thing only in Serbia. When I was brought in with the Arab Christians, and then, the Greeks I know, and everyone else, they celebrate names days. So if you're named for a saint, the day in the year that's their feast, it's a kind of a personal holiday. So mine is Saint Basil the Great, Sveti Vasilije Veliki. And so it's in January is that day, it's a names day, and it's, to make a little cake. And at least when my mom and I, when my mom was Orthodox, then it became a little thing. We would just have that day. But here I was shocked that that's not a thing. People don't have their own day. They just have their family slava, which I think is really cool that that's a thing. And I remember one of my friends here told me that if I ever get married to a Serbian woman, I have to pick my own slava. So that might be cool to do one day. But yeah, that was the biggest thing. I'd never heard of that before. I'd never seen that practice, because it's unique to here, and I think that's really cool.
Being from Russia, from Orthodox country, but basically it was no surprise for me to witness all this orthodoxy here. Yeah. But I was genuinely shocked when I've seen a teenager making a cross.
Yeah, seeing people walk by, and kids too. I remember going to Manasija monastery. It's in Despotovac, and it was just one of the days I wanted to get out of the city, go see somewhere new. So I think, I don't know, somebody was visiting me at the time, maybe my brother or my mom, because I've had family come to visit me here in Serbia. But we went there, and there was a school trip of kids, and they were probably, I don't know, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. And they were all walking out of the monastery, they were crossing themselves and going up to the church. And I just thought it was this is I thought about what kids in the US would be on that kind of trip, and the teacher would be running around trying to get them to behave, and all these kids I was amazed. It's the certificate from when I jumped off the old bridge in Mostar. I was there last summer, I think, and I saw the bridge and I knew people jumped off it, and I've been cliff jumping before, so I was determined to jump. And they pay, like you have to pay to do it. It was like, I don't know, 40 euros or something.
40 years.
Yeah, because what they do is they have like a practice platform. So they take you to the practice jump and they like teach you to make sure that you're like, you know what you're doing before they let you jump off the big one. And so then once you do it, then you like write your name in a book and then you can go back and jump anytime you want for free. So if I go back there, I would definitely jump again. It was so much fun.
Are you going out here?
Some, yeah. So when I first moved here, I was living with people who I'm now good friends with, a guy from Italy and a girl from Greece, and I was introduced to techno.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like maybe my first or second weekend here, and there was something happening down at maybe Hangar or Luko Belgrade or Dragstol, one of these places. And he was like, oh, do you want to like come out? We're going to a club. And like I had in my mind like what an American club is, which is just like a bar with lights and some dancing, and it's open maybe an hour later than everywhere else is. And you know, I remember just the first thing is I was like, okay, when are we going out? And he's like, oh, we don't need to leave until like midnight. And I just thought, in the US, you start, if you're gonna go out for the night, you go at like 8 and you're done by midnight. Like, cause I mean, most of the US, at least like the state that I'm from, everything has to close by 2 at the latest. So like the whole night is earlier. And so then we went to the techno thing, and it was so cool. Like I loved it. I fell in love with the music. Like now I listen to it at home. I don't go out that much like on the weekend, but if I do, it's often if there's like a DJ or something that I want to see, I'll go to that. But otherwise it's just, I don't know, social stuff with friends, like how, you know, having people over to the house for dinner or going to a bar, having a few drinks or something like that. And there's good live music and stuff here too. I've found that's really good. Cetinska is a great place that I love, which to me it's in a strange way one of the most American things in Belgrade, I think, to have a bunch of bars around a parking lot. Like,
yeah,
because in the US you have to drive to the bar. Like this is really bad, but like I had a friend in college, and one of the things he used to joke about is he said if you weren't supposed to drink and drive, they wouldn't put parking lots at the bars.
Yeah, totally.
And so like having a parking lot here with a bunch of bars around, it's really funny to me because like that's a weird thing here, but not that weird for Americans.
What do you think, how Serbs are in their socializing life, in their nightlife? Are they different from Americans?
I think there are a lot of differences. I think, and some of them are more obvious and some of them are more like nuanced. I think in the US, and I don't think this is a good thing, but I think in the US often when people go out, like the reason that they want to go out is to get drunk. Like that's the goal, is like, oh, we're going out to drink and to get drunk. Whereas I think here it's not common, I don't think, to see people that are really drunk in public. Like, of course you see it, but not nearly the way that you see it in the US. Because I think here it's more like we're doing this activity to socialize and to be around friends and to be around people. And it just happens we're like having drinks while we're doing that. But it's not like the point. Not to say that that's always true in the US, but it's definitely common. So I think that's a big one. I think also is that it's more normal for people to interact with strangers, I guess, or like talk to strangers, especially it depends on so much depends on the setting, because the kind of bar you're in or the kind of place that you're in. But like I think about like if we're talking about like the most Serbian thing, like I've gone to like a night at like a kafana or something with Serbian friends. And then it's like, you know, by the end of the night, like you feel like you're best friends with everybody in the room. And I've never had an experience like that in the US. Like I remember the first time I ever went to that kind of thing, you know, it was like Serbian traditional music live, and there was some guy in there celebrating the birth of his child. Uh-huh. And so the first thing that I thought was weird is that everybody was going up and ripping his shirt. Like, I guess that's a thing here. Wow. They do that. You know, I might butcher what it actually is, but at least my understanding is that like when you have your first kid or something, it was explained to me that they rip the shirt of the new father. And so everybody was coming in saying hi and then like tearing a bit of his shirt. And so by the end of the night, I tore a bit of his shirt. Like we were all like, you know, hugging and singing, blah, blah, blah. And like I've never had anything like that happen in the US. So I think just people's openness towards strangers maybe is more. And I think especially depending on where you are in the US, that's more or less. Like there are certainly places where that's not as the people's suspicion of strangers is as strong. But like I think about if you go out in like the city in the US or something, like people are always a little bit suspicious of other people's motives. Like, why are they talking to me? What do they want from me? Or, you know, especially if you have interactions between men and women, that's a whole, like, there's so many layers of just like that being complicated, you know? But I think here it's a little more simple.
Are you dating Serbian girls here?
I've been on a few dates, but like not regularly, not all the time. I think I've discovered with my friends, I think I'm fairly picky when it comes to that. But yeah, no, I've been on some dates, and it's interesting because dating in the US is really weird. Like I really didn't like it, don't like it. And I think here it's more traditional, maybe, like the expectation that men pay on the first date, or like buying her flowers, like that kind of thing. There are some people in the US who do it that way, but there's also a lot of people who don't. And then also just seeing from my friends who are in relationships, and like one of my best friends here, he's a German guy, but dating a Serbian girl. And I remember it was so funny because when they first started dating, like, he kept saying, he's like, oh, we're not like in a relationship yet, whatever. Like, oh, she's not my girlfriend. We're like, oh no, she's your girlfriend. And then we're like, okay, well, how many dates have you been on? He's like, oh, 4 or 5. We're like, dude, if she's your girlfriend, she thinks she's your girlfriend, you need to get with the program. Like, things are more, I think people take it more seriously here, it seems. Like, even when I've been on dates with people, it's, it's more intentional, I guess. Like, people are more we're looking for something, more strong or long-term or lasting.
More meaningful.
Yeah, more meaningful, which I think is nice. So, I'd like to meet somebody and whatever, but I'm also not like out there looking every day, whatever.
What do you think about Serbian girls in comparison to American?
They're very opinionated. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but like I think they a lot of them, and this is not only just from my experience with going on dates, but also just from like interacting with them as friends and things.
What do you mean by opinionated? They like
they know what they want. They have their views on like, this is what I want in a man, or this is what I want in a whatever, and I think also more, which I appreciate, like they expect more out of men than I'm used to. Like they expect to be, to have doors held for them, to be paid for, to have like flowers brought to them. Things that maybe in the US might be considered more old-fashioned. Not to say that it's not a thing at all in the US, but like there's more of a view of a difference between the roles of men and women. Women don't want to carry things if there's a man there to carry them. Like it's his job to carry that. And I think that makes sense. Like I don't have a problem with that, but like that's different than American women, and very attractive. I mean, people here I think are generally attractive looking people.
What is the most valuable thing that you found here in Serbia?
Community, I guess. Like I have friends and like the people that I know through my church, connections that mean so much to me and that are so deep. I do miss my family back in the US, but like my friends that I did have, they're all over the country. There was nobody nearby, and now it's here. Like I see people who I know just walking down the streets. Most days, if I walk down a public area, I'm gonna see someone that I know and that I say hi and we catch up, and like that there's we genuinely care about how each other's lives are doing. Because in the US, when you greet people or you see people, it's always, hi, how are you? But that doesn't really mean anything. Like people aren't actually interested in how you're doing. But like when I see people here, like the how are you, it's like because we actually want to know, and I feel that people actually care about how I'm doing and what's going on in my life, and I care about what's going on in theirs. So I think community.